Herzlich willkommen zurück auf Schalke America. I'm your host, Richard, joined as always by Jack. Happy double victory Monday, Jack. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. 2 out of 3 ain't bad, and that's what it's been so far, man. 2 out of 3 match days, starting off with a victory Monday, which is
Not bad.
those have been few and far between over the last couple seasons. So I'm very happy about that. Um, say what you will about the competition this past weekend in terms of their table position, their outlook for the season. Still happy to get a result. Looking forward to getting into it with you. And there's a lot of other stuff happening around the club outside of the match day to talk about as well tonight.
Absolutely. Happy victory Monday, El Waflo. I see you in the chat, Anthony. Same to you. And yes, someone has left the club that is going to be a huge boost. So rundown for tonight, we're going to talk Victory Monday times two. Obviously, Schalke men's and the Frauen got victories this weekend. And then, well, let's just lead into this here. If you've been living on a rock, it's breaking news, but happened like 20 hours ago, it seems like, as we're here in the United States. Ben Manga let go from Schalke. Frank Baumann gave him his marching orders this morning. The official statement from Schalke, if I can get my stuff to work here it is. All right, it says, under Baumann's leadership, Schalke's overriding aim is to be as well equipped as possible to identify talented players early and successfully bring them to the club. As part of these changes, Schalke have parted ways with Ben Manga, who had been serving as a director of squad planning, scouting, and the Knappen Schmiede. Baumann will take over on these duties on an interim basis. Baumann explained his decision as follows. As I said when I started here, I've used the past few months to get a full picture of our sporting setup. With the transfer window now closed, we analyzed carefully what we worked well and where we could potentially improve. We assess not only the results, but also the processes behind them. The measures we have identified will position Schalke for the future in these areas. Could read more. We can share these links, but what are your instant thoughts, Jack?
Well, the language of thinking of a statement is interesting, just because it basically says, we're trying to figure out how we can, identify talent better and more quickly, and so to that end, we need to get rid of this person, which is basically saying he's inhibiting us from doing that, to the extent that we would like to be able to. And the statement beyond that, as far as Ben Manga went, was basically just Ben Manga came in at a difficult point during the club's time and made an impact.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what they left it at. So, yeah, interesting. Look, I mean, I think I'm not surprised by that necessarily, given kind of the way the season went last year. Obviously, the squad was not good last season after Ben Manga's sort of first summer transfer window in charge. Granted, extremely limited resources. A lot of the people we brought in were brought in on free transfers, but I think you and I were underwhelmed by the activity for the most part, outside of the signing of like Musa Silla for the most part. And then we got that boost with Karius in the winter, but outside of that, a number of disappointments, really horrific, season last year. And, in the off season this year, not as many, great things happening so far as well. So, yeah, curious what your thoughts are, but I don't think many people are going to be super upset by this one.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that Baumann brought in Karius versus Ben Manga, but
sure.
Yeah, it's 16 transfers brought in by Ben Manga last season. Silla was obviously the one who took the plaudits for the 18 goals or something in this Zweite Liga last season. So obviously we're like, okay, he did great, but look at all the other signings that he's brought in, and for whatever reason or not, most of them have struggled to get a foothold last season on the team, other than maybe Baumann, and maybe that's about it. This season, we're starting to see Antoiage, Felipe Sanchez, and some others starting to take foot, but as Baumann alluded to, is like we want to get our talented players up to speed quicker. We shouldn't take a year and a half to get these guys ready to play because we don't have the money to do that. We can't afford that luxury. We're not Chelsea where we can buy 60 million people and then put them on loan and hope they develop at their pace. We can't do that. So I'm not surprised, but I am surprised because, like, why now? Now, I get it. Obviously, the transfer market is done. And so maybe he's waiting to see what Ben could do, but really, it's what Ben did last year. What is he doing now with the Knappen Schmiede and trying to develop the youth? And I think one of the things I saw in Baumann's interview was, yes, we want to build the youth, but it seemed like Manga was working on building the youth of just youth players in general. And Baumann wants to concentrate on the Knappen Schmiede, our homegrown products, and build the academy the way we used to do it. And so there's a philosophy difference between Baumann and how Manga had it, and he let him go. It's certainly surprising to me, Jack.
One of the other interesting things I thought about the statement that was released was it also mentioned, using like a mix of approaches, including data-driven approaches and other things. And I know there's been comments in the past about Ben Manga, particularly sort of like focusing on people that he's seen play in person, and maybe or has some sort of other connection to, and so perhaps his investment or reliance on maybe the breadth of resources at his disposal wasn't up to what people thought needed to happen to really kind of get the most out of the resources that we have in the transfer market. And that goes to, once again, talent identification and all kinds of other things. So I thought that was interesting as well. I haven't heard a lot of stories about this. No. You know what I mean? So I'm not really sure kind of what to make of it in the background. Like, it's not like something that we were seeing a lot of like leaks about, at least in my opinion. People talking about that kind of aspect of it, but interesting.
That doesn't surprise me because Baumann, so far, everything that's happened under Baumann, we know nothing about because he keeps trap doors shut. He only tells a select few amount of people what he's thinking. So that doesn't surprise me. But I think what you said was also one of the things I've also heard was that Manga is very old school and, like I said, limited resources, and Baumann is very much in the modern era, technology, data driven. I can speak on Milan just doing the same thing with Jerry Cardinale and Redbird. They're very much about data, and you have greater resources at your disposal, especially, not saying they use Y Scout, but using scouts and different programs and different that they can get a broader reach versus going to places and spending money to travel and try to scout people. And if you're just going to rely on people you've seen, that limits your vision, like you said, and be able to see the whole thing, the whole picture without having to go all these places, maybe make some calls instead of actually going to see it, makes a world of a difference. And building networks that way. And I could see if that's something Ben Manga's not comfortable doing, how they would part ways. So, yeah, it was interesting turn of events that I was not expected to see. Like, the joke was, Schalke can't enjoy just one victory one day. Something has to happen, right? And sure enough, you get these, we're celebrating victory Monday, and all of a sudden, something has to happen. So, of course, let Ben Manga go. It just, Schalke's on par for that, I guess. This seems like the trend for the last several years that, it seems to happen when something's good, something bad happens, right? What was it? Keith Van Wanderen gets fired, or he made the stupid comments after a great victory last year at the end of the season before he gets fired. So, like, it's on par for Schalke, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, I did think the timing of this was also pretty decisive. Like I said, it was, we got through the summer transfer window. We've kind of done a review of what that looked like and how that went. And now they've made a move. And, we're not even out of September yet. It definitely seems like that lines up with what they're saying in that regard. So, I guess props at a minimum for sticking to your guns. And, if you're going to do a review and actually take that seriously, then making changes as a result of what you find.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we'll see how that shapes up. No word yet on what the scouts, Ben Manga scouts that he brought in, what's going to happen with them. I know the rumors are Baumann felt that they had way too many scouts for what little they produced. So we'll see how that all shapes up. But let's move on to some better news, and let's talk. We're going to be, obviously, the men. We're celebrating the men Victory Monday, but I think the women deserve a little front and center and staged right now. They obviously won the Revierderby. Anytime we can celebrate a Victory Monday after Revierderby win, we're going to do that. And obviously, the women, they get a big win against Dortmund. The women got off to a good start in their game against Dortmund. Got 3 goals in the first half. You had Hunemeyer in the 3rd minute, followed thereafter by, I think, Ratka, Islacker, and I think Hunemeyer missed her first shot early on. But Ratka got a goal for sure, Islacker as well. Schalke had a 3-0 lead at halftime. So already they were pretty dominant in that first half, Jack. And they kept the onslaught going in the second half. Second half was a bit more even in terms of scoreline. Both teams end up scoring a goal apiece. You had some late goals in that one, but ultimately Schalke win 5-2, a big victory against Dortmund. And as you recall, Jack, I'll be a little Debbie Downer at the moment. Schalke and Dortmund played last season. Obviously, Dortmund ended up getting promoted, so this is Dortmund's second team, but nonetheless, a Revierderby is a Revierderby, and we win 5-2.
Yeah. Anytime you go out against the black and yellow, you want the result, regardless of the context. My main concern at the moment is I'm wondering if we can somehow get some members of that women's team into practice with our team, because they seem to have the offensive side of the game down quite well at the moment. What was it, 45 goals or something to start? Yeah, what is it?
49 goals for in 5 games.
49 goals. I'm sorry. It was a 45 goal difference is what it was. That's the 45.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
49 goals in 5 games.
Wow.
Meanwhile, we're sitting at 7-6. So yeah, I wonder if we can get some tips on how to identify the target from them. But yeah, remarkable start to their campaign, which is great to see. And then capping off that, that fifth with the win against Dortmund too.
Yeah. I mean, up to this point, Dortmund only had given up 3 goals. And we only had given up 2 goals at that point. But yeah, obviously, onslaught. We won a couple weeks ago. Like, I feel like it was 27-0 or something crazy, some crazy score line. But nonetheless, they've been scoring goals for fun this season. I remember the game against, I want to say it was Armenia or someone else, and they won like 12-1 or something like that. So the women are putting an onslaught on right now, and it's great to see. Clearly up top of the table at the moment by 3 points. Clearly, it's a 3-point lead. Long way to go. There's some good teams in this league. Obviously, you're gonna be looking at Dortmund and Armenia, but the goal this year is to get promoted, be champions, and get promoted. Because in the Westphalia Women's League, only the top team gets promoted. As you found out last week, finished second, did not get promoted. So let's hope that we get it. And it's always good to see women. Now, my only ask is going to be show the damn women's game more often, man. Like, I couldn't find this game anywhere. I couldn't find the replay anywhere. It's BS because like this is the better team at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, if they're able to toss them on YouTube or something, that'd be great. I don't know what the process is for a lot of them, but I know we saw some of the highlights of that game against Dortmund last year on YouTube. So, look, if they're scoring goals for fun, it's going to be fun to tune in. So, yeah, we'll keep you all posted on where we're finding those.
Something tells me that the next time these two play, it's going to be televised by Schalke. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. See how the season goes. Hopefully, the women can keep it up and finish the season strong, even though it just started 5 games in, right? But that's awesome to see that the women won their game like they did, scoring lots of goals for fun, especially against the Dortmund team, our rivals. But that's not where the Revierderby ends, actually. What Revierderby wouldn't be complete, or what Dortmund Schalke story wouldn't be complete without Mistrionics chaos. Not related to this game, but after the Schalke Magdeburg game, Schalke fans were heading back home on the train from Magdeburg, and some of the ultras were alerted that not only the Dortmund but also Cologne, obviously they have a bond, right, a friendship. The ultras were waiting for Schalke fans at their station near somewhere outside of Dortmund. So they got the tip. A bunch of people left the train. They hit the emergency brake, left the train. After about 45 minutes or so, the train got back going, got into the station where the hooligans were waiting, emergency brake again, and the rest of them got out. They all tried to meet up and try to get a big fight going on. The cops were on tip to it, and they broke it up, arrested about 100 people from Dortmund and Cologne, and then they escorted the Schalke fans back to the train, and they escorted the train back on the way back home. Doesn't surprise me. Not the first time Dortmund and Cologne got together and did something like this, but yeah. Are you surprised, Jack?
No. Seems like pretty typical behavior. Yeah, that was an interesting twist over the weekend as well. On the way back, riding high, and then I guess there was a little rumble in the forest or whatever.
Rumble in the jungle.
I don't know if people have energy for this kind of stuff. Personally, by the time the game's over, I'm like, get me home, get me in bed. I don't have time for all that. But people are like, hey, let's go find a fight. Apparently, I don't know. Yeah.
We struggle with a couple of beers, and these guys are going to have a fight in the middle of the night. Like, come on now, like what the hell? Oh, I apologize.
Yeah, I was almost murdered by Oktoberfest in Chicago on Friday. So yeah, I know what you mean.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not up to it.
Not up to it. Well, who was up for it, Jack? It was our dear men's team. They were up for. They went to Magdeburg to play them. Lineups for this one. Magdeburg. Not going to get too much into their lineup. We know this team. You mentioned it. It's a bogey team for us. No matter where they are on the table, they're a bogey team for us. It's a team you have to take seriously. Last year they were fighting for promotion. They just missed out. I think they finished 5th or something like that. under Christian Titz. They're not off to the greatest starts this year. They scored more goals than us leading up to this game. So I was concerned about this team just because that bogey aspect, and they in the past have scored many goals against us. You had a similar feeling, I would imagine, heading into this one.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, I feel like I have to look back at the history, but I feel like so many of the games against them over the past couple seasons have been super high scoring affairs one way or the other, and some of those have not been obviously favorable to us in terms of the end result. So, yeah, but those games are usually pretty high energy and kind of a lot on the counter, whatnot, and I don't feel like that was the way that Magdeburg approached this one, kind of coming out of the gates at all. But yeah, I mean, from our standpoint on the starting 11 side of things, I think the most notable things there are just Gomez getting another run in the lineup, getting another chance off the bat. Gant and Vine back in on the right, and then seeing Kurchai in there as well. And outside of that, pretty standard for the most part, same kind of shape that we've been used to seeing.
Yeah, well, I messed with my camera here. Yeah, and I think for me, the one thing we talked about this last podcast. We were okay with either Felipe Sanchez or Kurchai getting the start, and it just depends on which game, I guess it is, and how the manager felt, leading up to the game. So Kurchai got the start in this one. Did not disappoint in my eyes, I think. But looking at the lineup, this one, obviously Karius in goal, as always. So the back three with Kurchai would be Katic and Becker. The staples there. You had Gantabam on the right, as you mentioned, with El Fauzi and Schallenberg. Those two kind of switched their roles a little bit in this one. Vitaly Becker on the left with Gomes, Karaman behind Silla. Thoughts on the lineup? Obviously, Kurchai, Gantenbaum, but there was a little wrinkle between Schallenberg and Flaus. They kind of swapped roles, it seemed like. And then Silla kind of leading the line with Gomes, but it was a little fluke because I think throughout the game at different times, each of the strikers were at the top versus the other. So it's kind of a fluid situation. Any other thoughts on the lineup?
Yeah, I mean, there were times as well where, not always in possession as much. I don't know. It depends. Like you said, it's all fluid. But there's times where definitely seem like Silla and Gomez for maybe a little bit more of like a front two with Karaman wider to the left. With Gantemine pushed up a little bit more on his side. It's kind of more like a back four shape. But yeah, I agree, and I think you've been very high on Kurchai so far this season, as some other people have as well. I haven't feel like I've had that many super standout performances from him so far where I've really been that high, and I've kind of been waiting to see kind of what I make of the options that we have back there. I do think that this was far and away his best performance, I think, so far. I don't know what you've made of it, but this was one where I'm kind of on board with you finally, I think, in terms of kind of what we're seeing out of him. There you go.
Yeah, no, I think overall as a game, I would agree with you. In terms of just strictly, if I just wanted to break it down just to strictly passing, no, I thought a couple of games he looked really good passing, but overall, I said yes, absolutely, this is one of his better games, if not his best game. And yeah, I wasn't sure what to expect in this game. Obviously, Magdeburg have an amazing home support, and this team likes to play, as Myron Musa said, if you head into the game, possession based, likes to create a lot of opportunities, get a lot of shots on target. So I wasn't sure what to expect. I expected a strong attack at the beginning, and we didn't see that. 2 minutes into the game, we see the boys attacking, relentlessly. I don't remember when the goals happened anymore.
The first one was early on, and they kind of came out of nowhere because it was Karius kind of had a clearance. It gets played up, by that along the sideline to them. It's mishandled by, I forget who on their side did that, but Silla was all over him, kind of playing on the left side, and he's able to knock it forward with his head and get into a counter situation. He's able to cut it across for El Fauzi, I believe, who kind of one touch lays it backwards into the path of Keenan Karaman, who does a beautiful stroke home in the corner, just side foot curler. Right around the edge, picture perfect into the far corner. Keeper can't get to it. So yeah, kind of surprising. And it was kind of a weird sequence that led to that shot, but some nifty play around the box and a really good finish from Karaman, which is great on a couple fronts. Great to see Karaman get going again because I think he's been slow. The entire attack's been slow to start the season, but Karaman in particular has been less influential in general, not just on the score sheet, but just sort of his impact and possession and build-up, I feel like. So to see him involved earlier was great, but also just some of the one-touch passing and the combination play has been super lacking. And so it did feel like there was a little bit of an improved chemistry component in this match. I don't know if that's just because, once again, I feel like Magdeburg came out and didn't put us under a ton of pressure, so maybe we had a little bit more space to kind of do some of that. But I have felt like early in the season so far, the fluidity, our ability to kind of string a couple passes together and make some of these, runs off each other hasn't really kind of been there so far. And there was a little bit more of that. There were like spots here and there where you were noticing, I thought, some better combination play from the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that timely pressing that Muslich does have, it's not the same pressing that we thought we were going to get, but it's, that triggered press. It came in effective because it was Mathiasen or whoever it was on the right-hand side who fumbled that pass. Like you said, Silla all over him. Who he's supposed to be on his man like that, and heads up play with his head. And he's coming down the left wing. We just talked about Silla being up top of this formation, but it's fluid, and he was on the left-hand side here. Goes down, great pass to Fauzi, and Fauzi, like you said, a great just layoff, one-touch layoff, and Karaman doesn't go for power. He went for placement and put it away. And yeah, I think the fact that they didn't attack like we thought they were, or Schalke thought they were going to do it, really allowed them to get that early punch to kind of rock them, for sure. And then the second half, or the rest of the first half, Magdeburg tried to slowly get into it. It started to get into a little bit. I felt like Schalke defensively were solid. The one, I want to say, great opportunity they had in the first half really is Karius' fault. He went to make one of those direct passes from net. It got intercepted, made a switch of a play, and they went for take a shot, and luckily Karius made that save because otherwise he would look really bad making that turnover. But outside of that, Jack, I don't think I felt or they felt threatened at all by what Magdeburg did in the first half, despite the possession they had. Like Anthony said, it's like all possession, but no.
Well, this possession was closer in the first half, I think, for sure. It was more lopsided in the second half is when Magdeburg really kind of had a lot of it and just wasn't doing a lot with it. I think Schalke, I thought, dominated a lot of the first half. The last maybe 10, 15 minutes, I thought Magdeburg got a lot better and started becoming actually increasingly dangerous. And they had a couple decent opportunities, like a couple headers off of corner kicks. Then I think the one you just mentioned that was a on target hit with a lot of venom that Karius had to make a pretty fantastic save on. Gantenbein absolutely smoked on that one, by the way, in case you're wondering who kind of let that happen. I'm not trying to be too hard on him, but that was a noticeable moment for him. That was probably their best opportunity in the first half. And it's just got absolutely
you just made the list.
But I mean, like, that's what I mean is like Karius, I think this is where he's going to be important. Look, Muslich has obviously done a lot for our defense so far. I'm not trying to understate that in any stretch of the imagination. We were atrocious last year. Team, we have some reinforcements in terms of our center backs this season, but like as a team, we're defending significantly better. However, we are still giving up opportunities like that. And that's where having somebody like Karius in there as opposed to some other goalkeepers sometimes is going to make the difference, and it's going to shield us. Like, we probably would not have as many clean sheets right now without him because, one of those goals would get through here or there. So, I mean, I thought that was a huge play from him in the first half to kind of, give us make sure we had the lead going into halftime and kind of maintain that momentum on the road.
Yeah, so I for sure thought, hey, he's gonna tell the guys, be smart out there, attack right at the beginning of the second half, and I felt it was almost the opposite. It was laziness from everyone, where right out of the gates, Magdeburg attacked like we thought they were going to attack in the first half, and they get a backdoor goal from who was that? 17 Nollenberger gets a goal, and you're like, what the hell just happened here? 34 seconds to the second half, we're not even ready. We just came out. Luckily, VAR got involved. They checked it, and he was offsides. I mean, slimmest of margins, but he was offsides. And I think that woke us up because we were like, shit, we almost blew this game right there, 30 seconds to the second half, Jack. Did you get that feeling that the team kind of woke up after that play?
Yeah, Gantemanic again, by the way. Want to mention that. Especially, he was offside, but he also had to kind of like run around him and like beat him like towards the interior of the box, which shouldn't have happened. But yeah, you could tell that, Magdeburg's coach, like the second that got overturned was like, that was probably the moment. Like they really needed that. I totally agree with you.
Luke Aufball joining us from Florida. Always glad to hear him. Glad to see him on the podcast for sure. Yeah. So that woke us up. And I think, I don't remember if it was, I want to say it was a heads up play by Karius that kind of led this breakout play. That was a direct pass over to, oh man, who was it? Was it Karaman or somebody? We had a really great chance early in the second half. Great pass by Karaman or by Karius that kind of led to it. Didn't get a goal there, but we ended up, kept attacking. And, 5 minutes later, ball goes into box, goes to corner kick. Looked like nothing. Ball gets cleared out. All of a sudden, Schallenberg goes down, grabbing his head. You're like, what the hell is here? Is he just trying to get a call? And he's signaling, and all of a sudden you see there's blood on his head. There's blood. You're like, what the heck just happened? Go to VAR, and Grebe, the attacker for Magdeburg, thinking he's Zlatan Ibrahimovic or somebody else. I don't know who the hell he thinks. Doing a kung fu kick backwards when there's no reason to do it. Kicks Schallenberg in the head. Wasn't intentional, but he got him. Blood everywhere. Penalty. Stupid play by Grebe. I don't know what he was thinking, Jack. I don't.
That part of the that end of the field was kind of covered in shadow, and so like it was actually kind of difficult to see what happened live because the movements were so quick. So I agree with you. Yeah, but but high boot can't be there. Pretty clear cut. Obviously not intentional and a little cheap from that standpoint, but made contact. It's going to be a pretty clear cut pen upon review.
And I think the yellow card was a good call. It wasn't intentional. It was still a foul. It should have been a yellow, but a red card, I wouldn't have saw it. I would have been happy with a red card, I think, there. It would have been fair, at least. But Keenan Karaman steps up, and I thought for sure they would have put Silla there just to kind of get him off the schneid, get him off the, get a goal scoring started. But they brought Keenan Karaman on, whatever. I'm not going to complain. He's been our main penalty kick taker, it seems like last several seasons, and puts it away. And as he's walking up or jogging up to take the kick, the announcer's like, he's taken 6 penalties this year. He's missed one already. I'm like, oh, shut the hell up, man. What are you talking about? Shut up. Boom. Keenan scored. It wasn't like a greatly placed ball. It was just he sent the keeper the wrong direction, and it was like basically down the middle, little off to the side. But 2-0. Boom, just like that. Great for him. Happy Keenan Karaman's back. We've been looking for this for the last 3 games, I guess, 3-4 games since he's been back.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that, though, in terms of the Silla angle, because I had the exact same thought. And look, if Karaman's your penalty taker, he's also your captain. Like that's fine. But I would consider like giving your striker that as an opportunity to kind of get him going, get some confidence going. And also, my other question is, do you feel any sort of way about Silla not making more of an effort to take it?
That's
like even if he knows it's not his call, and even if he knows that Karaman's going to overrule him, do you want to see him interested in those every time and kind of like at least making a half-hearted effort to kind of argue with Karaman to like see if he'll, you know what I mean? Like, do you want your striker to be hungry in that sense? Because I feel like the body language has been a little bit different from Silla this season so far compared to last year. But
yeah, I want to see Karaman's a taker. That's fine. I want to see, especially a striker who needs the confidence. I want him. It tells me a lot about where he is mentally at the moment. If he had gone to Karaman and put up a fight, say, "Hey, give me this. I want to get off. I want to get off the snide. I want to get going." That shows me he's hungry. He really wants to get off the snide. But being laid back like he was, maybe he's like, confidence isn't there at all. He's like, I'm not going to mess with this. And we could just be reading into it. It could also be where like Meyer Moose has clearly told his team behind the scenes, like, these are my penalty kick takers.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we already had last year. We had some fighting going on with some penalties last year. And so maybe Moose is just like, this is who it is. You guys do not argue. I will tell you otherwise if it's someone else, or if maybe Keenan would have gone to him and said, you want to take it? But yeah, I'm happy he scored a goal. Maybe if it was 2-0 already and he went to take it, Silla should be taking it. But, I'm fine with the way it ended up. And obviously Karaman with his brace. And really, I think the remainder of the game, not much a threat from Magdeburg. They had obviously more possession. But late in the game, it wasn't until late in the game really where Attic had a free kick from an obscure angle. You knew he was going to shoot on target. Like he was one of the better players last year. He torched us last year. And he takes a shot and Karius makes a huge save on him. It wasn't an easy save at all. Like, again, this is what we need, a goalkeeper like him to make those saves. I don't know how I'm 50-50 on it, whether Heckern would have made that save, put in the same situation, but preserve the shutout. I mean, not much else to speak on the game in terms of Schalke looked pretty comfortable defensively.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I say, it's not that we still didn't give up a couple of those big shots or had those opportunities where there could have been a goal scored. Yeah, but generally speaking, I thought we were very solid. I thought Kurachai was great. I thought he read the game well, won a lot of his duels, had some nice footwork at times as well on the ball. Kotic was whatever. He was solid. Becker, I thought it was interesting. I thought he was exposed a lot on the right. He wasn't defending tucked in very, very tightly. He was very wide and exposed a lot, and I didn't always think he looked great in some of those moments, but obviously still covered a lot of ground and looked totally fine overall, like in terms of his contributions, especially going forward and stuff. So, it's something else I just wanted to mention too, as far as we're talking about the center backs and everything. There was a moment later in the game in the second half as well where, for whatever reason, it may have been after like a corner kick or something, where we had a number of our center backs that were a little bit more further advanced up the field they would typically be, and there was a moment where it was like Karaman and I think like two of them that were doing kind of like almost like a triangle thing, and like the fluidity of that with two center backs involved was also fantastic, and I really enjoyed that. So I thought that was a nice moment as well.
Yeah, I agree about that. It's funny you say about Timo Becker, and you're not the first person I heard say that. I felt good about his game. Not it wasn't his best game by any stretch. I thought he covered a lot of ground, despite some of the weaknesses or faults he had in the game himself. He made a lot of coverages. Anytime there was a play where they looked remotely like they were gonna get behind our defense, Timo was always there. So I did like that aspect. And Kurchai, there's people want to give him shots at have the best player of the game. And this one, I thought he had a really good game as well. Of the back three, he's probably the best. Katic, another quiet game, but Kurchai, as you said, probably his best overall game thus far with Schalke. Looked confident both defensively and offensively. It's going to be a hard decision for Music, or maybe it's a good decision to have, Felipe Sanchez is playing decent, and now Kurchai is playing pretty well. I mean, if anything, Katic better get his stuff together because, Kurchai maybe be beckoning to have a spot on the starting 11, wherever it is, because he can play on the right side. We saw that before as well.
And we're going to need them all over the course of the season. We are. So
Absolutely. I argued that Keenan Karaman should have been, well, he did win, but based on the votes on Twitter, take that with a grain of salt. But I, like with the 2 goals, the brace, I gave the man of the match. But there's a good argument for others, I guess. From what I'm hearing, what are your thoughts on the rest of the starting 11 and who you thought was maybe the best player in the match?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give it to Keenan Karaman as well. Obviously, I think you kind of have to. It's the first game where I felt like he was, and not just once again because of the goal impact, but generally I thought he was more influential and looked more like himself. And that was great to see. I've already mentioned, I thought that was, to me, the most notable performance from Kurchai this season. I thought both of our kind of central midfielders were good in this game. I thought Schallenberg and El Fauzi were solid. Becker played well. I think if there were any weak points, I think it was probably, for me, it was Gantenbein, and it was actually Gomis. I thought he was very quiet on the offensive end. I thought he had a better performance in his debut than he did in this game against Magdeburg. Just hasn't really kind of made the impact yet. I thought there were more moments last game where he was involved, even against the ball, tracking people down or wherever the case may be. He was kind of anonymous in this one, I thought. So looking more, seeing more out of him. But I was glad that he got another, run in the starting 11, and I would totally expect that's going to continue for, a couple more matches after we just signed him. So
yeah. I love those shouts. I agree with all that. I think the little wrinkle that Schallenberg and El Fauzi kind of like swap roles just a tiny bit. They're both in the middle, but where they were in the pitch and what the roles were. El Fauzi was it the offensive game, we were hoping to see from him to start the season? No, but it was a complete game, I think. Defensively, he was a bulldog. Got close to yellow a couple times. I don't think he got a yellow, but he was very close a couple times. Won the ball defensively. Obviously set up that great pass to Keenan Karaman for the first goal. He was everywhere. So, if someone wants to say to me that El Fauzi should have won man of the match, I'm not going to fight you on that. Same thing with Kurchai. I thought, like we talked already, Kurchai had a really great game. So, yeah, a lot of good players had some decent performances. Silla, this is a better performance by him. He's still not there. Obviously didn't get the goal. He was in and around a couple times, last game and this game. He had some good chances where he should have put it away, and it's clearly the confidence isn't there. But, hey, we win 2-0. We won our 4th game of the season. It felt like it was Christmas before we won our 4th game last year. It feels like, at least, we have a lot of Victory Mondays, which is great. I'm not going to complain about that. But off to a good start. The argument you could say against it is, we've only played teams in a relegation fight, but tell me what you want. I don't care what the stats say. We struggled last year against relegation teams, right? And so this year we're winning the games we're supposed to be winning. I'm all about that. I know we haven't played.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be too doom and gloom about it, but I mean it is Magdeburg is in the bottom of the table right now. Worst defense in the league. We're concerned about our offense. I don't think a 2-goal performance against the worst defense in the league, except for maybe Greuther Fürth maybe has more goals conceded, but I don't think it's much to get excited about, particularly when one of them was a penalty. So once again, this is not like a super promising offensive performance. I thought it was better in terms of some of the buildup and stuff. So I think some of my concerns are still very much intact after this game. But yeah, look, it's another clean sheet. It's another result. And as you said, we weren't safe from anybody last year. So, I mean, that's an improvement, right? That we can go out and have kind of comprehensive results like this on the road away from the Veltins Arena. That's great to see. Onward and upward, still, within top 5, top 6 right now. So, yeah, very much there.
Yeah, last year we played the women's team. We probably would have lost 12-0 or something like that, right? This year the defenses are more equal. But no, I think the consistent thing right now with the men's team, which is obviously a Myron Music's effect, is the defense. The defense has been the consistent thing this year, where last year it was consistently bad. So that's good. So one of the questions that came in from on YouTube, Gelsenberg, I believe, he said, what can Muslich do now that we got a pretty stable defense for the most part with Karius and goal? What can we do offensively to kind of trigger more offensive chances and more goals? Any thoughts on this? We're obviously not scouts, so don't take our word with a grain of salt. But what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think we need to see more of obviously Gomes, because like this is the kind of the big reinforcement signing that we had right at the end of the window to try to add something to the attack. So until we kind of see more about what he's capable of, it's going to be hard to answer some of that. But I mean, I think any time that you're playing with 3 center backs, it's going to be important that you get the wing backs involved in what you're doing. I don't think Gantemine is that guy for the most part. He did have, to be fair, he did have one, I thought, decent ball that he crossed into Karaman maybe early in the second half, potentially, that Karaman kind of missed and actually maybe could have done better at. But generally speaking, that's not his game. And Becker is involved there at times and has been solid there. But it isn't kind of the presence that we get on the left side last year from like a Tobias Moore in terms of adding to the attack, and sometimes as well with like set piece delivery or wide ball delivery, that kind of thing. So I don't know. Yeah, I think Karaman needs to get more integrated, which we saw better signs of in this game. But like when he's not involved, in Silla and the rest of the people are a little bit too static up top, and you're playing with 3 center backs. I mean, you're already kind of at a disadvantage, like just from a personnel standpoint. So it's been tough, and I think it's going to be an uphill climb kind of most of the season.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see what we can do to improve. I'm not dead on. I mean, well, I want to see Remmer come back. I think Remmer coming back would be big for us if he can continue playing the way he started out the season, where he was just a bulldog. He was everywhere. Preseason, he did create a lot of chances. Obviously, Muslich wants to see him back as well, healthy. He was back training with the team before the game, but Muslich's like, we're not going to rush this dude. We're going to take our time. And
you're right. That first game of the season, he made a big impact. Like he looked like he was going to be something. So I appreciate that shout.
And I also love hearing him say at the pre-match press conference how he sees a Musa Jabara. He's back on the training pitch. He's like, we're not going to rush him. Like, I'm not going to put a timeline on him because I don't want to put undue pressure on him and medical staff. It's like when they tell me he's ready, he'll be ready and he'll be involved on the team. So that's great to hear. But yeah, I mean, I think ultimately the double pivot is working for the defensive shape. It's certainly helped the structure there. And you got Vitaly Becker and whoever it is on the right, whether it's Gantenbeim or whomever. What do you do with that front 3? And, obviously, Silla's the striker right now, but if he continues to be snake bit, that's when you start thinking about, as a Remmer, as a Lasma, as a Hoyland, as somebody else. Does Gomes stay in the mix? Karaman's going to be staying in the mix for sure. You still have Atui Ajay, who is a viable threat with set pieces. In this game, by the way, we had 1 goal set piece, 1 goal from open play, which is great to see. Second of the season for us. But like, we have all these other little pieces that can help, but it's like not quite perfect for the system and this team that we have. So how do we do it? I don't know how we do it. Excuse me. The only hope is that the chemistry, whoever the front 3 are, gets to a point where, they can just feed off each other and kind of play that tic-tac-toe, one-touch passing that we were talking about earlier, and that'll help lead to breakaways. But obviously we need the wing-backs to do their job. Becker is going to be huge. Alpha Auzi and Schallenberg are going to be huge in that aspect as well. But it's also those front 3, the way they play with each other, the way they get the passes open. It's got to do something together. And I like a pacier player or 2 up top on the front 3. Karaman's he's not going to be anybody for pace, right? He's our Leo Messi this season all of a sudden apparently, right? But if Gomes or Silla or Remmert pretty damn fast, Hoyland's not bad either. Lasma, two of these guys, they got to get behind the ball, play these counterattacks very well, continue with the pressing game. I don't know. That's all I hope, I think.
Yeah, Keenan Karaman, he's the Larry Bird of like attacking play. Like he plays at his pace, and he's gonna beat you anyway. Like he's gonna get you in the spot he wants to get you in.
Yep.
It's gonna happen at his own speed, and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's not gonna be explosive necessarily, but gets the job done. But yeah, nice finish. My only thing is like, hey, he gets a brace in this game, and I know we're only 6 games in, but he gets a brace, and suddenly he's our leading scorer.
I know, right?
Which is concern. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. It's like 18 goal Scylla needs to get going a little bit. Would love to see our new signing get going a little bit, and could use some additional support from some other people as well. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, they got another opportunity to get going very quickly this Friday against Greuther Fürth at home.
Yep.
12:30 game. If I have my voice, I will do a live stream because I have a early date that day. But yeah, it's a team who has been difficult for us. They scored a lot of goals for us in the past. Currently, they sit in 10th place, 3 wins, 3 losses, 13 goals for, 15 against. So they can score. They give up a lot of goals as well. Much like Magdeburg, I don't know what to expect with Greuther Fürth because clearly they can score goals. Clearly they give up goals. I don't expect us to open up the floodgates and allow goals left and right. But I also, if it gets to that point, I am not confident we can keep pace with them, Jack. I mean, it's possible the way they're giving up goals here, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look, their only clean sheet of the season is coming in the DFB Pokal against the team who I did not know existed until earlier tonight when I looked this up. So that should tell you. Yeah, I mean, the rest of the games this season, I think they have maybe like one game where they've given up a single goal. The rest have been multi-goal games. They've given up like pretty consistently. So it's not even like what we're talking about with the Schalke women's team, right, where they scored 27 goals in a game and the rest of them maybe fine. It's like they are pretty consistently and evenly, of course, of their 6 matches, letting up a lot of goals. So I think if we don't see that happen against us, it's probably not going to be a great data point in terms of our offensive future. But like you said, if there's another get right game or another game to kind of build on the momentum that we just established with the Karaman brace, I certainly think you're correct in that it's this upcoming week. So big opportunity for us, I think, to kind of climb higher in the table here.
Now there's a trend to bring you here, right? Obviously they got a lot of goals in their games. 3-2 against they beat Dresden. They lost 3-2 to Eintracht. They lost 2-0 to Holstein Kiel, the team with good defense. 5-4 against Magdeburg, who we just played. 3-0 to Kaiserslautern, another team with a good defense there. And then they beat Arminia Bielefeld, which I think was the upset of the weekend there, 3-1 there. So if this tells me anything, this little trend here, and it's a very small sample, obviously, 6 games, but they struggle against the teams with the good defenses. And so we obviously have a good defense thus far. So if we can stifle them, get an early goal, get them out of their comfort zone, and then continue to try to build off of that and get a second goal somewhere, early second half, good result for us, I think. But that's a lot to say. Obviously, we're at home. I think we've been playing better on the road than at home, but it's not a. If we stick to our guns defensively, I think we're going to be in the right. I think.
Yeah, I would certainly hope so. Yeah, I mean they've been dangerous offensively so far this season, so we have to keep our guard up. But like I said, yeah, I think based on how this is going, I would certainly favor us, and I think, yeah, hopefully we see, like I said, a continuance of what we saw a little bit against Magdeburg, an improvement on the offensive end. This is a team where we should be able to capitalize on that and continue to develop in that area. So looking forward to it.
Well, I think that's all I got for this Victory Monday, double Victory Monday. Obviously, the men win 2-0. The women win the Revierderby 5-2. That's the more impressive game. And then obviously the breaking news of the day was Ben Manga getting fired from Schalke. So a lot going on, obviously, with Greuther Fürth coming out in short succession here on Friday, 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, 11:30 Jack time. That's all I got, Jack. My voice is gone. Where can our followers find you on social media?
At JMMangan, JMMANGAN on Twitter.
I'll try to get this out. You can follow me at R_KHARMAN. More importantly, follow us on Schalke America all across social media. Follow us on obviously YouTube, Instagram, Kick, Twitch, everything. Actually follow and like and subscribe. Much appreciated. Like I said, if the voice is there, I will try to do a live stream on Friday during the game. If not, I'll just do the normal videos and we'll be back Monday for the podcast, more than likely. So everyone who's in chat tonight, Glück auf. Thank you for joining us tonight and taking Same with my voice, best I can. But anyway, enjoy your week. A double victory Monday, so it should be an exceptional week for all of us here leading into Friday. So enjoy the rest of your week. Stay well, and we will catch you guys soon. Look out.